23rd sloka. Yatra kale tvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginaha prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshabha. Up to 22nd sloka, Krishna described the spiritual world and material world, the contrast between the material and spiritual worlds. In the 23rd sloka onwards, Krishna describes the specific times for leaving the body. If you leave the body during certain time, this will be your destination. And if you leave the body at some other, say, inauspicious time, you will get little lower destinations. All those details Krishna will give. 23rd sloka he says, Yatra kale tu anavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginaha. So there are two ways of leaving the body. They are categorized according to this criteria. At one time, if you leave the body, again you will have to come back to this world. At some other time, if you leave this body, you need not come back. Okay, these are the two categories in which the death times are classified. So, what is that? Krishna will describe now. Prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshabha. I shall now explain the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does and does not return to this world. Unalloyed devotees of the Lord, pure devotees of the Lord, or who are aspiring to practice pure devotional service, such people need not bother about these timings. We'll discuss more details. They do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return back to Godhead. So devotees need not bother these specific timings. Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, Somvar, Guruvar. It's okay, no problem. So you dedicate your entire life in Krishna's seva and with pure heart, with pure intent, to the best of your ability, you render service to Krishna and his devotees and live such a Krishna conscious life. When you will leave this body is a detail. Krishna will take care. Whatever time you want me to quit this body, I will quit this body. After quitting the body, wherever you want me to go, I will go. That's how Krishna leaves, a devotee leaves everything in Krishna's hands. Okay, I don't mind. Krishna, I am completely dependent on your decision. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realization as karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, must leave the body at suitable time in order to be sure whether or not they will return to this world of birth and death. Let us see what Krishna has to say. Agnir Jyotir Aha Shuklaha Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gacchanti Brahma Vidojanaha. This 24th sloka is describing the right moment of leaving the body. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from this world during the influence of fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when sun travels in the north. So this is called path of light. Okay, Agnir Jyotir Aha Shuklaha. Okay, Shukla Paksha. And Agni Jyoti means in the bright part of the day. Okay, at an auspicious moment, in bright light, or by the influence of fire god or sun god. So these there are presiding deities for fire and light, and there are presiding deities for waxing fortnight and waning fortnight and Uttarayan and all this. So by the influence of all these presiding deities or gods, one will have an auspicious moment for leaving the body. If you leave the body at that moment, then you will not come back to this world. Okay, at an auspicious moment, in light or in fire, okay, during the day, in Shukla Paksha is the fortnight of waxing moon. And Uttarayana, during Uttarayana, means the 6 months where the sun travels towards north, then he will attain liberation. What is that liberation? Attaining Brahma Jyoti. See, Brahmavido Janaha. Brahmavido Janaha means those who have an understanding of Brahman, means Jnanis or Yogis. So, the path of light described in the 24th shloka is about the Jnanis and the Yogis. Jnanis and Yogis take to the path of light, means they leave their bodies in light during Uttarayana and during Shukla Paksha, and they will attain Brahma Jyoti or liberation. This is the path of no return. Means by leaving the body like this, you need not come back to this material realm again. You will go to spiritual realm, but not necessarily into a spiritual planet in the company of the supremely spiritual Lord. You just enter the spiritual realm and merge in the effulgence of the spiritual planets. That is Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti is spiritual. So by leaving the body in Uttarayana and Shukla Paksha and all that, you will attain Brahma Jyoti. And this is the specific way in which Jnanis and Yogis leave their bodies. But for pure devotee who is in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves body at an auspicious moment or inauspicious moment, Shukla Paksha or Krishna Paksha, or Uttarayana or Dakshinayana, it doesn't matter. During daytime or night time, it doesn't matter. So next. Dhumo Ratristatha Krishna Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandrama Samjyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate Dhumo Ratristatha Krishna. And by the, if someone passes the passes away from one's body during darkness, means during the night time, during smoke, when there is smoke, not fire, smoke. So when there is fire, there is smoke also. Fire is said to be good, smoke is said to be inauspicious. So fire is auspicious and smoke is inauspicious. Okay. So during the darkness, by the influence of smoke or whatever, in Krishna Paksha, means during the fortnight of waning moon, and in Dakshinayana, the 6 months where sun travels towards the south, Dakshina Ayana means the traveling of the sun is towards the south. Uttarayana is traveling is towards north. Okay. So if you give up the body in Dakshinayana and during Krishna Paksha, during the night time, then there is rebirth. This is specifically meant for the karmis. Karmis give up their body like this. They may at the max attain heaven, but they will again take birth in this material world. There is rebirth. This is path of return, and the previous one is path of no return. So these are the two ways in which one leaves the body. Now 26th shloka, Krishna gives a summary of these both shlokas. Shukla Krishne gati hiyate Jagatah shashvate mate Ekaya yatyana vrittim Anvaya vartate punaha. According to the Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing this world. One, path of light. Second is path of darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back. When one passes in darkness, he returns. Fine. Whatever Krishna spoke in the last two shlokas, he summarized in this one shloka. Path of light, you don't have to return to this world. Path of darkness, you will have to return. Path of darkness is followed by karmis. Path of light is followed by jnanis and yogis. And jnanis and yogis enter spiritual effulgence of the Lord, that is Brahma Jyoti, and they will be there attaining that impersonal liberation. But these karmis, they will go to heavenly planets and then they will come back to this earthly planet. Now, what is the path of devotees? At the time of death, the mind carries one to new life. The gross body is getting destroyed, but inside the gross body there is subtle body, which is made of mind, intelligence and ego. Fine. So the mind is the storehouse of all material desires and impressions. people in general must leave the body at a suitable time to be assured that they don't have to come back to this material world. But for those pure devotees in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning to this world. Whether they leave the bodies in Uttarayana or Dakshinayana, Sukla Paksha or Krishna Paksha, auspicious time or inauspicious time, daytime or night time. That point Krishna clarifies in this 27th shloka. Because at the time of death, a devotee thinks about Krishna. Na uttama shloka vartanam jushatam tat kathamritam syat sambhramonta kalepi smaratam tat padam vujam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, this shloka comes that one who has dedicated his life in glorifying Krishna and in serving Krishna, such a person will not run into any bewilderments or misconceptions or confusions at the time of death. With clear consciousness, he will remember the lotus feet of Krishna and he will attain the spiritual world. At whatever time he may leave the body, he can enter the spiritual realm. Prabhupada was translating Bhagavatam purports even on the deathbed. Okay, even in his last moments also, he was just focused on remembering Krishna and then giving purports. That will be standard reference for next several thousands of years to come. So devotees can have such clear consciousness. 27th shloka, Krishna elaborates on this point. Naite stri parthaja, naite sriti parthajanan,
naite sriti parthajanan,
yogi muhyanti kaschana,
yogi muhyanti kaschana,
tasmat sarveshu kaleshu,
tasmat sarveshu kaleshu,
yoga yukto bhavarjuna,
yoga yukto bhavarjuna,
naite shriti parthajanan, yogi muhyanti kaschana. For a yogi, for a devotee of the Lord, these two paths, na eti, these two paths that I have described, what are the two paths that Krishna described? Path of light and path of darkness. Path of karmis and path of yogis or jnanis. So he described them, but a yogi need not follow these two. A pure devotee need not follow these two. Okay, they are never bewildered. Yogi muhyanti kaschana, a devotee is never bewildered. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, therefore, at all times, sarveshu kaleshu, yoga yukto bhavarjuna, be engaged in yoga. What is that yoga? Although Krishna does not specify here, it is referring to bhakti yoga only. Because Krishna says that in the next shloka. Okay. So, yoga yukto refers to mam anusmara yudhyacha. What Krishna said in the 7th shloka of this chapter, you see, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Here what is Krishna saying in 27th verse? You see, connect from 7th verse to 27th verse. 7th verse Krishna said, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. In the 27th shloka he says, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjana. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu is matching in both places. There he says Mamanusmara, here he says Yoga Yukto Bhava. Yoga Yukto, Krishna is referring to Mamanusmara. This is Bhakti Yoga, although he doesn't specify. Acharyas clarify it. So Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he should not be disturbed by different paths the soul can take when leaving the material world. A devotee of the Supreme Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. You don't have a control over your death. You cannot decide, oh, Dakshinayana is path of darkness, I will live in Uttarayana only. Bhishma can decide his time of death, but you and me cannot decide time of death. It can come at any moment. Then how to make sure that one will attain a better destination? Should one commit suicide at the right auspicious moment? No, that is discouraged. Sanatana Goswami wanted to commit suicide by throwing himself under Jagannath's cart. You know that Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is one beautiful pastime where Sanatana Goswami, because of travelling in Jarikhanda and coming in contact with some water which is not very suitable for his health, so he developed a lot of oozing sores on his body, okay, and they are oozing some foul substances, blood and pus, etc. are coming. So there is some disease. And Sanatana Goswami considered that out of his humility, my consciousness is not proper, my body is also not suitable, it is diseased body. So in this lifetime I may not be able to render service to Lord Chaitanya anymore. So better I go to Jagannath Puri and throw myself under the cart of Jagannath during Jagannath Rath Yatra. Then I can attain a better life or better destination by giving up my body at an auspicious time. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand it. Because he is the super soul, he is the supreme Lord Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could easily detect that Sanatana Goswami is contemplating a suicide plan. He said, one day suddenly he comes to Sanatana Goswami and says, "Oh Sanatana Goswami, if I can attain Krishna Prema, love of God, by committing suicide, I will give up my body hundreds of times." Okay. And further discussion continues. Basically, Mahaprabhu has disapproved the plan of suicide made by Sanatana Goswami. So one cannot plan one's death. Death will come by God's will. As soon as our tenure within one material body ends, we will have to leave this body. But what time it ends, we are not sure. So Bhishma Dev had the opportunity to leave the body whenever he wanted. And Parikshit Maharaj was given an information. Within 7 days, means you have only 7 more days to live. After 7 days you will die. So he was given a death notice. But most people in this world, they will not have that opportunity. Sometimes some doctor may predict, okay, he has 2 more days or 3 more days like that. That's all very dicey. Exact moments cannot be seen. But point is, one has to prepare for that moment of death by practicing Krishna consciousness throughout one's life. If one leads a devotional life, if one practices Krishna consciousness and Bhakti Yoga throughout one's life, then one will make sure that at the time of death he will be able to remember Krishna and one can go back to Godhead. So, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Please engage yourself in yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, remembering me throughout your life, so that at the end of your life, at the time of death, you will be able to remember me and you can come back to me. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to be always dovetailed in his service, and this will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain and direct. Okay. So, anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjataha. One should be unattached to material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one attains perfection. So one can dovetail different things or objects or resources or talents that he has in Krishna's seva. Thus, by dedicating one's body, mind and words and resources in Krishna consciousness and in Bhakti Yoga, one will make sure that one can go back to Godhead easily at the time of death. Now, the last sloka of this chapter glorifies Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phala pratishtam atyeti tat sarva vidam vidhitva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phala pratishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. Vedeshu, by studying the Vedas. Yajneshu, by performing so many Vedic sacrifices. Tapassu, by performing so many austerities. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu, by giving charity to people in a religious way. Yet punya phala pradishtam, whatever pious results you may obtain by doing these four kinds of activities and many other activities similar to this. Atyati tat sarvamidam vidhitva, you will attain all of that and much more than that also by practicing bhakti yoga. Yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. A yogi or a bhakti yogi, a person who performs devotional service unto Krishna, can attain all the results of these Vedic processes like Vedeshu, Yajneshu, Tapassu, Chaiva, all this. And apart from that, param sthanam, he will also attain the supreme destination of spiritual abode, Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. A devotee is not deprived of the results of Vedic study, austerities and sacrifices and charities. By performing charity, you will attain some pious result. By performing some sacrifice, you will get some pious credits. By studying Vedas, you will get some knowledge. So like that, by following all these regular standard Vedic processes, you will attain some benefits. A devotee is just chanting Hare Krishna. Is he deprived of all these benefits? A devotee is just rendering services to Krishna, worshipping the deity or Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoha, Smaranam, Padasevanam, whatever it may be. He is doing all that. So is he deprived of all these results? No. All the results he will get, and he will get much more than that, including a residence, a permanent, eternal residence in the spiritual world. Param sthanam apaiti chadyam. Okay. The beauty of Krishna consciousness is that in one stroke, by engaging in devotional service, one can surpass all the rituals of different orders of life. Different ashramas and different varnas will have different kinds of religious rituals, and by doing so, they will attain certain pious or spiritual credits. But all that are available for a devotee who has sincerely dedicated his life to serving Krishna and Vaishnavas. Prabhupada writes, a brahmachari has to live in the home of spiritual master like a servant. And one more thing, atyati tat sarvamidam viditva. So sarvamidam viditva means whatever I have spoken to you in the 7th chapter and 8th chapter, after knowing all this. Okay, one can surpass all of them by knowing me and my glories from chapter 7 and 8. That's what Krishna is indicating in the third line of this sloka. After the student studies the Vedas under the master for some time, at least from age 5 to 20, he becomes a man of perfect character. Study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of speculators, but for the formation of character. Such a beautiful statement. Vedic study is not meant to become a scholar or to make you a speculator. It is meant to build our character. Scholarship could be a byproduct of your scriptural study, but it is not the end product. The end product is character, Vaishnava character, good character, and transformation of heart, and ultimately devotion to God. The biggest aspect of good character is devotion to Krishna. All other attributes of good character will manifest in the personality of a devotee who has devotion to Krishna. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunaistattra samasate suraha harav abhaktasya kuto mahat guna manorathe nasati dhavato bhi. Manoratha is mental speculation. Same thing Prabhupada says here. Study of Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators. It's not recreation. Okay. So, a devotee has all good qualities by dint of his devotional service to Krishna. The words idam viditva indicate that one should understand the instructions given by Krishna in the chapter 7 and chapter 8. Okay, I already mentioned this. One who has little faith in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of 4th chapter it is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita, it can be understood only by devotees. Anasuyavai. One should therefore learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna, not from mental speculators. this is a sign of faith. A devotee of Krishna may not have so much of scholarship. He may have, sometimes they may not have also. But devotion is more important than scholarship. A scholar may analyze the Sanskrit of Gita or other scriptures more thoroughly, more deeply than a simple devotee who is very naive. But the ultimate result, essence of studying scriptures is to develop devotion to God and good character. What is the use of being a great scholar if that only induces pride and envy in the heart of that scholar? One may have studied so many scriptures, one may have memorized so many shlokas, and one may have become a great scholar. But if there is envy and pride in the heart of such a person, he has not actually understood a single syllable of what he is studying and speaking. So, scriptural study should increase our humility. What is mentioned in the scriptures? It is the glories of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is the creator, maintainer, destroyer, controller, master, proprietor, owner of everything. So when Krishna is described to be the supreme person, supreme doer of everything, supreme proprietor of everything, supreme enjoyer of everything, and so far we have been thinking that we are enjoyers, we are proprietors, we are controllers, we are masters, we are creators, we are this, we are that. By reading scriptures, by reading the glories of Krishna mentioned in the scriptures, you understand who is the real enjoyer, who is the real proprietor, who is the real controller, and realize that you are not. And thus you become humble. Scriptural study should induce humility in a genuine student of scriptures. If scriptural study is increasing the arrogance and pride of a immature reader of scriptures, then he is not actually getting the real benefit of studying scriptures. As I mentioned before also, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was impressed with the understanding of South Indian Brahmana. South Indian Brahmana who was sitting in Srirangam, he was an illiterate Brahmana. He was reading Bhagavad Gita. He was illiterate. How can he read Bhagavad Gita? But still he is attempting to read because his guru told him you should study Bhagavad Gita. He is just keeping Bhagavad Gita and then trying to read. He is an illiterate person. He is unable to read properly. He is trying to read, but his eyes were filled with tears and he was in ecstasy. Mahaprabhu asked, which sloka or which chapter of Bhagavad Gita is giving you so much ecstasy that you are shedding tears? Then he says, no, I cannot read properly, only I am unable to understand what is written here. I am just trying to read, but I am not understanding anything. But whenever I see Bhagavad Gita, when I see Krishna playing the role of a chariot driver of Arjuna, just tears flow from my eyes. How can God take up such a simple role of being a driver of his devotee? So I am just meditating on these beautiful qualities of Krishna and the great devotion of Arjuna. So South Indian Brahmana's heart is filled with appreciation and affection and love for Krishna, the speaker of Gita. Although he is unable to understand all the technical analysis done by Krishna. Then Mahaprabhu said, oh dear Brahmana, whatever you have understood from Bhagavad Gita constitutes the essence of Bhagavad Gita. I authorize that you are the best scholar of Bhagavad Gita. You have the best understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Because he had love for Krishna and he had submissiveness to Guru's instruction. Although he does not have the ability to do it, he is doing Gita study under the instruction of Guru. Second, he has developed love for Krishna. So ultimately, Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapassu Chaiva. Vedeshu means by scriptural study. Scriptural study should not lead to pride or scholarship or just some entertainment or recreation in speculating on scriptures and analyzing the grammar. It is meant to transform the character. It is meant to induce devotion in the heart of a devotee. Okay. So that's why hearing Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from devotees of Krishna is more effective than just analyzing Gita from a scholarly perspective. A scholar may analyze Gita, but a devotee will understand the essence of Gita and try to apply it in one's own life. Okay. Scholarship is a byproduct, it is an insignificant byproduct of scriptural study, but the end product is transformation of character and development of devotion to God. Okay. So, and this last sloka describes the supreme position of bhakti, bhakti yoga and bhakti yogi. That a bhakti yogi is the topmost yogi, and bhakti yoga gives you everything that all the other Vedic processes are giving, and it is also giving you much more than that, which is devotion to Krishna, which is entrance into the supreme destination, supreme abode of Krishna, the spiritual world. Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.